Alright, welcome everyone to the Sword of Mercury. It doesn't sound quite the same actually when I talk with my normal voice, but I feel like today's topic merited me using my normal voice to elaborate on the concept of power. And fundamentally, when we talk about this concept, we're talking about an innate ability within you, an innate force, a type of energy being utilized. And something we might look at when we're contemplating what power is it's something that is innate to one's very being. You can almost think about it like in physics, they have potential energy and they have kinetic energy. Potential energy is like a battery that's storing all of that energy in one place to be utilized at a time when it's needed. So it's a reservoir of energy. Kinetic energy is energy in movement. You can almost make the parallels between these, and you can watch me describe this in my podcast, Athlete Enlightened, that I will link in the description below. And the episode is titled Strength Reimagined. But the concept is that power is very much like potential energy. Strength is very much like kinetic energy. And the reason why this is important to understand is because power is an innate reservoir of energy, like I mentioned. And why power is so important is, how do I change my life? What is the true meaning of power? How do I become powerful? What are the branches of power? These might be questions you contemplate while asking myself, how can I become a more developed human being? How can I accelerate the process of development in my journey so that I can achieve my goals? Because that's ultimately what it becomes, right? It becomes about, how can I become a more capable individual? How can I do what is necessary to win? So there's three main avenues of power, and remember that power is material by nature. And what that means is that whenever you're talking about power, it's typically along the lines of something that it's something tangible. You can almost touch it, right? So one example from that might be exercise. So if you see somebody with like big muscles or whatever, or even if the person is not physically big, I'm not physically big. I train for strength, but I'm not physically big. But if you were to touch like a muscle, it would feel dense, right? So that is the concept of power. It's related intrinsically to density and that reservoir of what something is composed of. So same thing with presence and aura. It's a force that when it appears, it has the ability to influence everything in the environment. It's almost like when somebody enters a room and you notice even out of the corner of your eye, or you just feel the energy change as somebody walks in the room, right? So that is also aura, or power, I should say. But this is one of the expressions of it, right? Someone's presence. And you can feel that like a disruption too, right? So if there's a presence that is very weak, let's say intrinsically by nature, let's say you're somebody who values the qualities of something like, even here, strong character, and somebody with weak character walks in the room, you can sense that energy. It's not resonating with that person who has just entered the scene. So, and this is why a lot of times if you connect with your body, you can sense this around you. The purpose of understanding these different avenues is this is how you can accelerate your development process, like I mentioned. So presence, so that actually goes together with exercise. Exercise is one of the ways that you can alter your presence or develop it further. Character. Building your character as an individual. What typically makes up who you are in terms of your principles, in terms of your value system, in terms of what you believe? your concepts about the world. This might go together with actually influence when we discuss that. But typically, a character is intrinsically linked to all these things, as well as emotionality. Am I somebody who lets my emotions control me, or am I able to stay in a balanced state no matter what, or at least to the best of my ability, so that I can have control over my reactions to things and adapt to the environment based on how it supports me? If you have an emotional reaction to something, and that emotional reaction is not of benefit to you, why would you let your own body or your own mind or any aspect of your being take energy away from what you're innately trying to accomplish, which is developing yourself as a human being, right? It's almost like if, I don't know, let's say you do something out of your own innate nature, and somebody attempts to make you feel guilty about it. Why would you buy into whatever bullshit they are spewing about their philosophy or ideology if it does not support you being who you are? So if you can stay emotionally neutral while somebody is blabbing on about, oh yeah, this is how I feel like, you should be or what you should do, then you're not affected by that. And it's actually a positive thing when that happens, because it's an opportunity for you to combat and train yourself to be emotionally neutral. That doesn't mean be numb. It just means choose when not you want to express your emotions. Specifically for a man, this is very important, I feel. And the reason why I'll tell you, actually, and this is just my perspective, you don't have to adopt it, but the way I see the world is you are always in constant battle as a man. From the second you get up, you should be seeing everything in the world as how can I maneuver through this environment as efficiently as possible and achieve my objective. That's it. And it doesn't matter what that objective is. It just matters that you have a clear vision in your mind of what you want to achieve and what path you're going to take to achieve it. And whoever is blabbing on while you're on your journey or attempting to distract you, or whatever you see along the way that's an attempted distraction, don't listen to it. You should almost be desensitized to the interference of others. And this goes into the control of emotionality and the control over your emotions. Because if somebody can manipulate your emotions or use them in a way that acts against your best interest, then they can manipulate you. But if you refuse to be influenced by emotions that do not serve you, then you have control over yourself. And I'm not saying if you see something like a scene in a movie, or I don't know, something happens, or you experience some kind of situation where you feel an intense emotion and you want to express it in some way. I'm not saying you cannot and you have to be like, a statue. Like they say, man is like statue. I'm not saying that. I'm saying choose when to express your emotions and do it around people who genuinely have your best interest at heart. And how you basically find that out is you spend time around those people who you can actually vibe with, when you say like, oh yeah, me and that person are resonating on the same frequency. That is me saying that this person has my best interest at heart. This person is aligned with my life path. This person is aligned with my development. And over time, that creates a relationship where you can actually be somewhat open with that person. If you have an experience with a person and you feel like your character is being swayed out of its traditional space, then that person does not have your best interest at heart. So you need to acknowledge who the people you are hanging around with are, and whether you can be emotionally able to be influenced by that. So, again, even I would say, regardless of who you're around, you should always choose when you want to express emotion or not, given the situation. And the reason why I'm emphasizing this is such a key point is that emotion is the outlet in which power travels through different directions. And I'll explain more on that in a moment. But the last thing I'll say around emotionality is you really want to make sure that anytime you are expressing emotion, it is out of your own genuine will, and it's out of something you deeply feel in your heart, and it's something that is a choice. It's, yes, I want to express emotion to this thing because this thing genuinely in its nature has meaning towards me, or has meaning to me, or has meaning from me. So choose when that is. That's all I'm saying. Moving on. Growth. Growth, of course, physical power. It's almost like, think of planting a seed in the ground. You know, you have a plant that you want to grow. You need to water it. You need to nurture it. You know, even if you want to sing to it to make it grow more effectively and strongly and feel supported. Same thing for building your own power. You are that plant. Put the seed in the ground. What seed being your intention or what you are doing. So let's say you're attempting to build your physical power through exercise. The growth process over time, you want to make sure that you're going to the gym, you get the right amount of protein, blah, 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 blah. Those are all the things supporting the growth of the plant, and the plant being you and your muscle growth. And this process happens over time. Time is a big factor here. Things do not materialize overnight, typically. So you have to understand that if you want to change something in your life, especially something related to your physical appearance or your ability, innate ability as an individual who has this amount of power, then you need to understand that these things typically occur over time. You don't step in the gym and, get power on the first day being there, right? Something is cultivated over time and over time and over time, right? So it's a pretty much never-ending growth process. And that's the thing. You put the seed in the ground, let the plant grow. That plant could, or that maybe it's a tree, sapling that you planted. That tree could grow into a big oak tree or whatever, right? But the thing is, it's built on years of developing that, right? And what happens over time? The roots become strong, the tree becomes strong. All of these factors become powerful. I shouldn't have used the word strength because I'm conflating two ideas, but you get my idea. My point is that basically you are emphasizing that foundation that the thing is built on, right? Foundation becomes strong, the tree becomes strong or powerful, if you want to say, and it makes it harder for the tree to be swayed by the wind. It makes it harder for the tree to be knocked down by the elements. These are factors which make the tree strong. It's because it was nurtured over time until it could facilitate its own growth, and then it became powerful enough and became a big tree, right? Same thing for you. If you're attempting to grow a skill, you have to treat it like a plant. Put the seed in the ground, show up, water it every day, show up, sing to it every day, show up, give it what it needs every day. Don't overwater it or give it too much attention or sit there staring at it waiting for it to grow. Just give it what it needs and leave it alone, right? So this is the basis of physical power, and like I said, it's over time. This is why strength is so much different than power. Strength is a much quicker thing to achieve, in a sense, because it's built on mentality, which is constantly in motion. Power is more physical in nature, which is why it takes time to acquire it, right? But it also takes time to lose it. So this is the thing about strength. Strength could be gained in a moment or lost in a moment, typically, in not the physical sense, relating to more mentality. Power, on the other hand, is something that is physical by nature, which means it takes time to gain and time to lose. And this is why, like, you can almost think of the difference between strength training and hypertrophy training. Hypertrophy training being aligned more with power. Again, if you want to hear more about this in relation to the gym, check out my video on my other channel. The link will be in the description. Material power. So now we're on to the next topic. What is material power? Money, resources, network, businesses, leverage. So I'm going to explain each of these. Money, so material gain, wealth, is a form of power. Remember, like I said, it's almost like power is the seed of the plant, and everything that grows from the roots, that being money, resources, network, businesses, leverage, are all almost, you can think of it as tree branches, or branching off pieces from the seed, right? So it's aspects of the tree that grow into different aspects, right? Money. So money is typically something which is emphasized for trade or exchange, or to be utilized to acquire some other thing, right? So, we exchange money for things like electricity, for services, for other things, right? It's a form of currency which translates into getting something. So resources kind of aligns with this as well, kind of relates to, like, if you own a house, or you own some kind of estate, or you own a yacht, or cars, all of those are resources, right, that help you achieve something. It could even be like computers, right, to, build your business, right? Those are all resources. You can kind of put them together with network, but for the purposes of this, we're going to leave that as separate ones. Network, the people you have around you. So this kind of relates to influential as well, but we'll get into that in a minute, or a couple minutes. So network, typically you want to align yourself with people who have similar ambitions to you, right? Or attempting to achieve similar things to what you are achieving, right? So network is important because it actually is, almost think of it like a spider's web. The web is meant to strengthen the structure around whatever the spider is trying to cultivate, right? So with the main goal being facilitating a place to thrive, or a place to have all your resources in one place, network is important because you need other people to do things for you, right? Or you need to do things for other people. This is like a give and take relationship. It's almost like symbiosis in biology, right? It's where living organisms help each other in some way, right? So that's almost similar to networking, and that's why the biggest problem with this generation nowadays, and I'm like 23, so I'm talking about like the '01s and like after that, is that everybody thinks they can do it by themselves, but the thing is, nobody is really successful by themselves because everybody had help. So as soon as you put your ego out of the way and realize that you need help from other people, and networking is not something that is inherently going to hurt you or your net worth, it's actually going to do the opposite, you're well on your way. This kind of relates to what we're going into next, businesses. Businesses is nothing more than money in. You need people to give you money. Question is, what are they going to give you money for? Typically, it's in exchange for some kind of service. So, let's say you're in personal training like me. You need people to give you money for a service such as bettering their health, or getting them in better aesthetic shape, or assisting them with playing a professional sport. And the goal behind this being that you are taking some of the work off their plate of how to figure this out, and you're giving it to them and guiding them through it in exchange for money. So, like I said, business is money in. So you need people to give you money for something. And this relates to the next thing, which is leverage. Leverage is the ability to have something that is maybe an equivalent of money that you can use to exchange for something else. So, what's a good example? The bank, right? When you're buying a house, right, you have to leverage something. So you have a mortgage or whatever, right, which you pay off over time, and you have interest on that mortgage, which is why the bank is going to give you money to pay to basically support you owning this house, right? I'm not going to get into how we don't really own anything, but point is that you need something to leverage, right? So you're leveraging actually your house in that equation because you don't own the house. You haven't paid it off yet. So the thing is that you are leveraging something for something else, right? So they're getting interest on top of the money that you have to make payments on, but you now have a place to live, right? So maybe it's not the most straightforward example. Another thing is like, in a more traditional sense, you could say if you don't have money to pay somebody for something, like say you I don't know, what's a kind of buy service? I don't know, say you want to buy a couple packs of smokes, or you want to buy some drugs from, your neighborhood dealer or whatever, and you don't have money to pay him. You might give him your watch or whatever, right? And this is just an example. I'm not emphasizing you and going and leveraging your watch to next time you plan on picking up drugs. But my point is that if you have an item that is equal in value to what you would exchange, such as something like money, then you can give something of equal value, that being your watch or some kind of item, in exchange for that product that you would have typically given money for. So again, this is similar to the house analogy, where if you don't have money to buy something, then you have to leverage something, right? In any case. And then, you have credit and all that blah, blah, blah goes into that, right? We'll spin around here and we'll look at the other angle. So here we have influential power. Excuse the messy writing and the spelling. It might not be completely accurate, but I really don't give a shit. So influential power. So I put fear, love, and respect. So you must think in your mind that in terms of emotionality or influencing people, typically you do it with two ways. You influence people with fear. If you don't do this, this is going to happen. And then they're motivated by not wanting to have a certain result come to pass. And then you have the opposite of that. You have love. You should do this because this is how it could better your life experience. So you motivate somebody to do something based on pulling them towards that goal because they should want to have that experience. So the basis behind this is one is a repelling force and the other is an attraction force. And between these two, you have respect, which is kind of in some ways a combination of both. I would say that typically in the physiology and psychology of the human mind, typically there's only fear and love, but in some cases there's a combination of both. In any case, you can disregard that if you want. So this goes with concepts, ideologies, philosophies. So like I was saying, You need to have people buy into what you're talking about if you want to influence people through influence of power, or the power of influence, whatever. Basis is that if people agree with what you're saying, like I'm sitting here talking about power, if you agree with what I'm saying, you're going to want to watch my content more, because you're like, okay, well, this guy is actually talking about some stuff that is genuinely helpful, and he's doing so because, of course, he wants to build his channel, but he's also doing so because he really believes in what he's saying, and he believes it will help us. And there's no other motive behind that which he just listed, right? In any case, the basis is that if people agree with what you're saying, they're going to want to watch you, or they're going to want to listen to you, right? Because they're like, this guy's saying some good stuff, right? And he's doing that, and maybe the other people on the internet are not talking about important stuff like this. Straightforward enough, right? Assistance learning. So another reason why you watch people is that you might be learning a skill from them, right? What is a skill that I can acquire from watching this person? Do they have a video on something I need to learn? Is there a specific piece of information which I should pay attention to because it can significantly impact my development in a positive way? Skill acquirement. So it's kind of similar to that in some ways, that what do I want to learn? Say somebody makes a video on, how to fight, or, the, basics of boxing, right? So if you're learning jab cross, or, jab cross hook or whatever, and you have a need to learn how to fight, you want to acquire that skill, you're going to somebody to acquire the skill of how to fight, right? So you have a need to learn that skill, and somebody's providing that to you. So that's another reason why you would want to listen to somebody, is they have a skill that you want, and you're attempting to acquire that skill. It's almost like if you want to get rich, you're going to go to a person who is rich and learn from them if that opportunity is available, right? Because they have money, so they must know how to make it, right? Especially if it's the amount you want. You don't go to Joe Blow on the fucking street corner, asking for crack, how to make money, right? Because he doesn't have that skill. You go to somebody who owns multiple businesses, or has millions of dollars, or has the amount of money or lifestyle that you want, and you sit there and either you ask them how, or you sit and listen. And that's basically it. Or you find that piece of content that you're looking for online, and you sit there and listen. So a skill that you want to acquire, personal development. Same thing along these lines, is that if you have a piece of character, this kind of goes back to character, if somebody is emphasizing things that you would like to have innately as a piece of your character, then you're going to watch them and listen to them, and the way they talk, and the way they speak, and the way they articulate themselves, because you say, hey, I like the stuff this guy is saying. I might want to listen to his stuff some more, because he seems like he's genuinely out to help people. He seems like he has our best interests at heart. He seems like he's talking from experience. It doesn't seem like he's trying to bullshit or scam me. So all of these factors come into play when you're really analyzing the board of, okay, who am I going to listen to and why? So that's the biggest part of influence. Who are you going to listen to? Why are you going to listen to them? And the basis of that is that they have something that resonates with you. So we kind of covered all the factors here, but I would just like to emphasize once again that power is something that is not cultivated overnight, typically. It's something that is acquired like training in the gym over time, and you just show up every day, you do those things to build that skill or develop that quality, and you keep doing it. So that's why power is so intrinsically linked to discipline and structure. Excuse a pause. In any case, this is the basics of what I'm talking about. It's something that is potential force. That, like I said, it's like a battery. You have to charge it up, and you have to utilize it. And it's not a one-shot deal. It's something that is acquired through a slow process, and it's utilized through a slow process, typically. In any case, I digress. I'll leave it at that. I encourage you to like and subscribe to help support the channel. Click the notification bell. I will link all my links to my other podcasts, Moonstruck and Athlete Enlightened, in the description below. Athlete Enlightened is the podcast I referred to, which you could check out the latest episode of Strength Reimagined, which I go into basically analyzing what is strength, and I touch briefly on what is power. So if you want to know about that, I encourage you to check that out. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you enjoy hearing my normal voice compared to ASMR. Let me know if you prefer the ASMR. I would say that's about it. Let me know what you liked about this video. If you want to see more content relating to this and maybe go in deeper on some of these concepts like money or power or influence, or physical power even. So I hope you found this helpful. I hope this accelerates your development, and I hope to see you in the next video. Remember that all my links will be in the description below. You can follow me on Instagram at top_sorcerer. And until the next video, this has been the Sword of Mercury and the Prince of Mercury. I'm out.